Hello, thank you for listening to A Glimpse of the Kingdom. I'm Dr. David Pendergrass. You know, something that's very popular in the last, say, 10 years or so has been a redefinition of the word atheism. And so it is debated and, I don't know, just jabs go back and forth between Christians and non-Christians and books and articles and blogs and YouTube and blah, 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 blah. And it goes like this. Forever, atheism meant the belief there is no God. Now, why did they define it that way? Because that's exactly what the Greek word means. It's actually two Greek, you might say, words, theos. And is called the alpha primitive in Greek. Means it negates it. It's like saying no. And then theos is the Greek word for God or deity. So theost or atheism is the belief that there is no God. Well, in the last couple of decades, particularly the last, say, 10 years, I would say in the new atheist movement with Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and so forth, now they've changed the definition, atheists have, to mean that the person does not believe a God exists. That is to say, it's moved from the proposition of atheism, historically, classically, for centuries, that there is no God, the truth proposition, there is no God, to mean now today, I don't believe God exists. I don't believe in any God. So the change has gone from there is no God to I don't believe there is a God. Well, those are very different statements. They're very different, and people will argue back and forth. They're the same thing and so forth, but come on. I mean, anybody can see those are different statements. One is it does not exist is different from I don't believe it doesn't exist. Because if you don't believe it, you're just saying I'm ignorant. In fact, there is a word that people have used for centuries for the person who's ignorant. That is to say, or undecided. They're saying, I don't know if there's a God, and it's called agnosticism. And guess what? It's a joining of two Greek words, alpha primitive for no, and gnosis, that G is silent. So if you said gnosis, which means no knowledge. So agnostic or agnosticism is a belief that they don't know if there's a God. That's kind of a weak form of agnosticism. I don't know if there's a God. A strong form of agnosticism would be, and you can't either. That is, no one can know whether there's a God. But that's just a claim of ignorance. I don't know. Hey, David, do they serve pizza at that restaurant? I don't know. I'm agnostic. I don't know. Hey, David, do they serve pizza at that restaurant? No, they do not serve pizza at that restaurant. That would be atheist pizza man. I don't know. So the point is, atheism has always meant there is no God whatsoever, and agnosticism means I don't know if there's a God. But today, the definition is now changed to atheism is now really agnosticism. I don't believe in a God, or I don't have enough evidence for God and so forth, or I'm staying in a passive state. Now, the reason why that matters is because it changes the discussion for people who deal with apologetics or defending the faith. Because now atheists can say, all I'm saying is I don't believe in a God, and you have to prove he exists, or she exists, or it exists, or whatever. And then the theist, or someone like myself, is going to respond, no, if you're an atheist, you're saying there is no God whatsoever. And then back and forth they go, no, I'm just saying I don't believe in a God, but you're the one who believes in a God, you've got to have the evidence. And no, that's not. And this goes on and on and on. My response to that whole deal is, one, the definition has changed. It's changed. I don't think it should have changed. We had a word for that called agnosticism. We don't need another word to mean the same thing as agnosticism. It causes confusion. But even if a person won't bend on that at all, so if you're a skeptic by miracle or an atheist by miracle, you're listening to this, which would be great, let's concede the point. But that's not, so my second point is, if we concede the point, it doesn't really matter about the whole discussion. And here's why. And this is really, I guess, geared for the Christian now, or the believer. That is, it really wastes your time to spend energy on labels. It just does. Oh, of course, if you're an atheist or skeptic, you'll waste time too. But for a Christian, let me encourage you, implore you, that you don't waste time on identifying what the other person is. Figuring out as quickly as possible what label they are. That will not work. It's not going to help you, especially if you're wrong. All it's going to do is put the other person in a defensive stance. And he or she's going to say, no, that's not who I am. And then you're off track already. Who cares what the label is? Who cares? Here's what you should do to have a productive conversation. I know it's elementary, but boy, does it work. And it's simple, it's true, it's humble, which for an atheist probably won't care, but for a Christian, it does matter to be humble or humble-like. That is like a servant is what the word means. You ask this question: what do you believe? That's it. You ask the person what they believe. You're not trying to go as quickly as possible to label them. Oh, you're just a skeptic. Oh, you're just an atheist. Oh, you're just a whatever. Because when you do that, you're going to get off track. It's going to be ad hominem. That is, you're attacking the person, not their beliefs. So just ask them. It's very respectful to do that. You just ask, hey, what do you believe? And if they say, I'm an atheist, I don't believe there's enough evidence for God, you might internally in your mind say, nope, that's not what atheist means. Atheist means, by the Greek word itself, it can't mean what you just said. The etymology of the word is you believe, you are certain, or as it were, you believe that no God exists. Not, I'm not sure, or I don't have enough evidence to believe in him. But even if you think that, even if you disagree with the definition of atheist, I encourage you, don't get sidetracked. Don't even chase the rabbit. Because you'll end up spinning around in circles and it's worthless and just gets everybody frustrated. And then you're, yeah, I mean the word I wanted to mean and blah, 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 blah. Instead, just listen to the answer when you ask the question, hey, what do you believe? I'm interested. And I'm going to do another podcast on this at some time, but just to give a little tip here, if you are talking to a person about their faith, genuinely listen. You're not looking for the punchline. You're not looking... I used to teach at a college preparatory high school, and I used to have one student one time who said, you go in for the jugular. And we all laughed. No, you're not looking for the opportunity to go in for the jugular. You're genuinely listening. Now, why would you do that? Because you don't know what the person knows. And you'll get nowhere by assuming it. You really want to listen. And you might listen the whole time and say very little, but that's okay. People like to talk usually, so listen to them. Secondly, how in the world will you know what to say in response about what you believe, or maybe where you disagree, if you haven't heard what they believe? So listen. Just listen to them. Other reason why it's powerful to listen is because it demonstrates, hopefully, what you are, which is you're open-minded. You're having a conversation. You're not going for the jugular. You're not trying to win an argument and just, oh, okay, you said that wrong, and you pounce on them. You don't know a Greek. You don't want to pounce on a person, especially if you're a Christian. You're going to lose. What I mean is you're going to lose in your ability to be a good example. I mean, that's it, right? As a Christian, our goal isn't to just win arguments, though arguments matter. Thinking clearly matters. Our goal is to help actually the person see what a Christian looks like. Yes, with failure. Yes, you're not going to do it perfectly, blah, blah. I get it. The point is, that is our goal, at least one of our goals. So one of the best ways to do it, of course, is just ask them what they believe and then listen. And if they ask you what you believe, then get ready to tell them. If they interrupt you right away, start trying to debate you right away, just ask them, hey, do you mind if I finish what I was saying real quickly? And then I'll be happy to try to do my best to entertain your questions. And guess what you say if you don't know what to say in response? What do you say to a person if they say, what about all the evil in the world? What happened to this and this and this? What about the New Testament manuscripts? And you get all panicked and flushed. You know what you say? I don't know. But that's a good question. Can I get your email address or your Twitter handle or your phone number? And hey, let me do some research and I'll reach back out to you. That's a great question. I'm not sure. You don't have to know it all right then. And that goes for anybody. If you ask an atheist a question and they start fumbling around, because most people, by the way, Christian and non-Christian alike, don't have a daggum clue what they believe, and they don't know why they believe it. So it's not your time to prounce. It's not your time to jump, or whatever the word is. Prounce? What is it? You don't jump on the person right away. You're so ignorant. Let me disabuse you of your ignorance and tell you why you're wrong, atheist. Just take a breather. Say, well, I think it's worth exploring. Hey, would you like to continue this conversation some other time? That way you're just showing that you're having a conversation. So I encourage you, don't get trapped by the defining of the word atheist or agnostic. Instead, simply ask the question, hey, dear friend, coworker, what do you believe? And listen. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to today's Glimpse of the Kingdom. If you want more theological reflections, go to davidpendergrass.com. If you want me to come out to your church or to help your organization with consulting, go to davidpendergrassconsulting.com.